everyone. We really hope you enjoy this episode. So, if you're watching on YouTube, if you could please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, or if you're listening on Spotify, you can always follow us there. Every like and share and subscribe can help our channel to be seen by many more Stargate fans. So, we really appreciate it. And then we also have all of our socials listed up on the screen right now if you wish to follow us there. Okay, thank you, and I hope you enjoy. Bye. And to all the Stargate fans out there, we would love to hear from you and chat with you on our show. So if you're interested in doing that, please reach out to us via any of our social media platforms or email.
It has now been a little over a week since the big announcement, right?
Yes.
That we all remember, and we all remember how we received that announcement. And I think everyone is still, including us, is still living in this sort of daze of what the heck just happened, and maybe it's starting to sink in that there's a new Stargate coming. So today we thought maybe let's talk about some of the things that have emerged in the last week. I think we together both read and watched and listened to several sources, both from within the fandom, also some general sources, and then also some fan theories. So I guess we can just talk about that. First, I really, really, really think it's important to acknowledge Darren and David at Del the Gate and GateWorld, because I am pretty sure they have been putting out content nearly around the clock.
Yes.
And there has been so many live streams, guests, constant content. And this is, I think, primarily most of the things I think we're talking about and knowing about is all emanating from content they have put out. So I think it's really important to acknowledge that. And we'll probably pop a couple of those links in our description so you can check out some of those, because they did a couple really, really cool live streams with guests that talk about, possibilities, theories. But anyways, yes. So starting that, how do we feel about some of the news that has come out and some of the biggest, I guess, headlines?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, before talking about anything specific, I think it's been really cool to kind of see, reading the reactions of so many fans all over the world that are so excited. And it's kind of funny because you'll every now and then have the few that are maybe a little more gloom and doom, and they're worried that it's not real, or they're worried that everything's just gonna suck. And so it's kind of amusing to me. I think for the most part, just general fandom comments that I've seen has been a lot of excitement, a lot of people just kind of wondering and curious what's going to happen. And then you have some people that really are diving deep and saying what they really don't want, kind of thing.
Yes. But I love that in the last week, every time I've opened anything like YouTube or anything, there's some videos about Stargate, and it was really fascinating because over the week it started where it was mostly just, you see the things that I'm already subscribed to that are popping up, and then maybe some fan channels that I didn't know about, and then some science fiction channels, and then suddenly it hits mainstream where even just regular TV video channels start talking about Stargate. And I love that because I think something I feel Stargate has suffered from is that it has this really, really passionate fan base that it is kind of quietly growing, I think, but it's suffered a lot because of the lack of being on streaming until very recently. And it's really cool to see that there might be more people, even before this new series comes out, brought into viewing the old series.
Yeah.
So I'm really stoked about that.
Yeah, because I feel like people will see this announcements, they'll be able to sense the excitement from people that are already fans, and they'll probably be like, wait, what is this? What are people talking about? And I think it will go over well because, I mean, both of us have experienced, you have kids that have all watched Stargate, various ages. And then my daughter's been watching Stargate with me, and she loves it, and she's 14. So it's kind of I feel like I really do think like, it manages to have so many different age groups enjoy its content and the
Yes.
characters. And yeah, it's really exciting. It'll be exciting to like have like new people see it. And yeah, it's cool that it's on mainstream stuff because it never has been before, as far as I could tell, like recently at least.
Yes, for sure. Um, yeah, I think there were two videos I think that came out that we both saw as at least some parts of, some excerpts, some points, depending on when they were streamed. I think the two big ones that came out that were live were the interview with Michael Shanks, and then also um, the interview a couple days later that with Jenny Jenny Steven. Is that how you say it? I don't because it's spelled with an I. So I really apologize if I'm spelling that wrong or I'm saying that wrong.
Yes, Steven. I'm not sure.
I'm sure that they said it in a video, and I'm like the worst of like I probably, in all this excitement, like you miss some like these little things because of how crazy everything is. But that was also a discussion that was like the Michael Shanks one. I know they did some postulating. They had other guests on, which was really cool. So they had other podcasters. They had also the actor that was playing Shifu,
Yep.
which I know I wrote down somewhere. So I'll pop that into the description as well. Um, and so they had quite a lot of guests and fan interactions on this live. But in the one with Jenny, that's where they did talk a little bit about the real like some kind of realistic trajectory of release and the logistics of that a little bit, which was kind of
Yeah.
interesting to hear as well. Because as someone, I mean, I know you've worked a little bit more in depth in the industry, and so you know maybe more about how these things work, but I haven't. So it's interesting to hear like this kind of exact timeline of, oh, when you
Yeah.
start here, this is how long you're in talks, and this is how long it actually takes. And because people are also online postulating, oh, when will it come out? 2026, 2028. And so it's interesting to hear that as well.
Yeah. 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 And I mean, I think like, of course, like everyone's just speculating, right? But I mean, certainly like, I don't really know. Like, I've tried to look into, because I'd heard a little bit of, I mean, I heard a decent amount of that live stream, but I had caught it like after she'd already been introduced. So I've tried like looking up, like it seems like she's also like created like Stargate role-playing games and something to do with like I think she's also involved a lot with PR and marketing and different things. And she really does sound like she knows a lot about what happens behind the scenes, like with the producers and all of that. So she must have some kind of job like with all of that. But yeah, I think her trajectory like kind of was similar to what I was guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think, she did mention actually like how some shows like they will have like a really quick um time frame of when they come out with another show. But I think that maybe involves less like it's a little bit the scenes are a little bit more bare and it doesn't involve quite as much depending on the type of show. But she did mention what was cool is that she did not think that they would ever have a release of this announcement without
Yes.
it being something that's happening fairly soonish, like within the next year or so. Like she says there would at least be an announcement of something within like the next, I think she said, was it like 6 months to a year or something, where she would expect that then they would come out with something, whether it was like a trailer or um something about it that kind of makes you feel a little bit closer to then finally start the series. So I thought that was cool to hear, which also makes total sense, I guess, because with it being involved with Amazon, um, and all of them have been like I think working towards making this happen for 18 months. It makes sense that the announcement would be planned in a way that maybe people wouldn't be having to wait too long.
Yeah. what was also kind of interesting about that is that was the one where she also said that one of the most interesting things that will come out, like the thing people get most hyped about, is the casting announcement. And
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
so funny because I have to say that kind of surprised me because I never like when I think hear the first like announcement of the SG-1 or of the new Stargate series coming out, and I start to think, okay, like the things I would imagine is, oh, the enemy is the plot, like where is it going to take place and when and blah blah blah. But then when I think about it, it's like actually it's right. The casting is probably the most thing that we would get you start being hyped because you'd question, okay, well, who are
Yeah.
these characters? What are they doing? Are they bad guys or good guys? That kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. Like, because sure, there will be people that will be more excited about other things. Like maybe they are excited about the concept art. But I think overall, if you're thinking of the masses of people and different people's backgrounds, of, what they do or what they're into, for everyone, they want to know who's cast, and I think that like I'd be far more excited to hear about the casting than anything as well. Because then you're just like, okay, like you can kind of get a vibe for like, what is this going to be like, somewhat. So yeah, that makes sense to me. So it will be cool. Like, I wonder if they're currently going through the process of auditioning people and casting people, or if they haven't reached that yet. Um, but that will be exciting when the announcement happens for sure.
Oh, for sure. I mean, no, it's a very good question of how deep they are in that. And I mean, it's interesting because going on a little bit fan theories, something I was reading, I think this morning or yesterday, was someone suggesting that nothing from the previous universe will be mentioned or brought up, that it's a continuation, so it'll probably take place outside of Earth, etc., which, is plausible. But even in Universe and Atlantis, there was still references to characters from Earth. And I do feel like in one of the announcements, wasn't it said that there will be a couple recurring, like returning actors in some way?
I
I don't,
think there will. I think there will be. I would be really surprised if there wasn't. I think because if you kind of look at the body language,
uh-huh.
me looking at the body language and facial expressions when they did the announcement, and one of the things that were asked to, I forget which writer it was, that they were asking about familiar faces. One of the things they said was like, oh, well, they find out like the rest of you, give us time, basically. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but basically they were saying like to give us time, like they've found out like the rest of you, but like basically they're acting like they were going to be having new cast and everything, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that there would be some familiar
Mhm.
faces. But I felt like there was like this kind of like sneaky look on their face. like
Ah,
I felt like it was a little bit of a fib there, that because also then after that you hear that, well, the main cast of people were told ahead of time, actually. You did find out that they were told at least maybe a week or so ahead of time, I think, out of respect for people just knowing like that this was happening. And because Michael Shanks spoke about that, like he spoke about how it was like a respectful thing that he was contacted. I think it was by what's his name, Joseph Malozzi or Malozzi, however you pronounce his
might
name.
have been, yeah.
And I think it was him, and basically like they were reaching out to the previous cast, trying to make sure they have the correct emails so they don't screw it up and announce it to the wrong people. And basically like told them like um this is happening, kind of thing, so that they know. I definitely feel like they probably don't know who would be returning cast, but I feel like there's got to be. I feel like it wouldn't make sense. I feel like if you think even like back to like the beginning of SG-1 and everything, how many like crossovers they had with Star Trek too, Star Trek cast, and um, you know, names of people that they had come on that like were like known. So I feel like it just kind of follows that same kind of vibe of like now that they've had those shows, it would make sense to have them come on. I mean, on Universe, they did that every now and then with SG1 and stuff. So,
Yes.
um, and maybe also, I don't know who, maybe also Atlantis. I don't know. I haven't reached that point yet in Universe where I've seen who all they bring forward into some of the episodes. But yeah, I mean, I think that will be cool. I think people are hoping for that. So I think it would make sense to do that a little.
Yeah, no, for sure. Which is also like one thing I think I read, and this is also something I shared with you too, that people are saying, I hope they don't bring back the old cast. None of they're all like too old. They're 50 plus. And I was like, what? Like people stop acting at 50 plus? Like that
That
doesn't
was
make any
such a brain dead comment, wasn't it? Like, holy hell. Like, all I'm thinking is, what is this? Is this like a little like 18-year-old or something being like, oh my God, they're so old?
Yeah, it's like when you're like very young, like 13, and you think like 30 or 40 is like
Yeah.
I mean, I get it's probably because, parents like joke about that, but mostly it's like you want your kid to get, oh, you're so go get that thing. I'm old, my back hurts, but like your back
Yeah,
doesn't
but this
hurt.
person was like downright rude. Like they were
Oh
just
yeah, yeah.
like say acting like people just fell apart, that they can't even walk, they can't even move. Like how do you expect them to act and remember their lines? It's like, wow, like where were you? Like but the thing that I respect is that I mean, I got mad at that so that I just went off of that post. That just made me mad. But you had sent me like a screenshot of a comment where someone had replied to them. And I was actually really surprised that it was actually like a really polite comment to this person, because I would imagine, especially with how the internet is. Now maybe other people did like, you know, attack this person for saying the rude things. I'm not sure because I didn't look at it. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but like I remember the screenshot of the comment you had sent me. It was just someone almost kind of saying it lighthearted, almost kind of like making fun of it, that person even said that, and they were very kind. So I feel like that is seemingly a, a difference with, I think, like how we've mentioned in our past episode about the Stargate fandom, like being
Yes,
so
yeah.
kind and accepting for the most part of everything. So even when someone says something that's quite rude, it's like they reply in a way that's not gonna like, you know, add more lighter fluid to the fire. Like they're just gonna,
Yes.
reply in a very kind of almost like respectful, mature way that's not going to get everyone all riled up and mad at each other.
Yeah. Well, and what's funny is the comments seem to not address the age part and more focus on the what makes more sense for the story. It's almost like they kind of looked over like that being the reason. Like to me, I could think, okay, yeah, a reason they wouldn't like recast them in the main roles is just because then it's really like it really just has this feel of rebooting, and also because you want to have a team like that's
Yeah.
basically this front. I mean, realistically speaking, unless they all really were terrible at their jobs, they would all have advanced in some way in their
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
And they were all very good at their job. So it's more about like the trajectory of the people that you're watching is likely not, you're not going to start with the show is literally following the general as the main character. It's going to follow the people slightly lower rank. But I mean, the fact that they could be there in that capacity is like, to me, makes so much sense that they would be there as leaders, because at this point, they would be leaders. Just like, I
Yeah.
mean, that's why it was kind of ludicrous, because in other shows, there are plenty of people that are leaders. I mean, otherwise, you don't have like, I mean, what do you have? Like chaos show that's only teenagers, and then like Lord of the Flies or something. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Um,
it's very interesting because like I felt the same with media that I saw within the fandom, like going on theories versus outside of the fandom.
mhm.
Because I did see some general videos like that kind of popped up, and I didn't know what they were, and then it's like some people that just talk normal, like sort of standard pop culture, and it's really crazy. Like, because I feel like within the Stargate fandom community, you get the stuff like release date. Maybe the most negative is, oh, are they going to mess it up? Like, and, do a reboot, or this character does the wrong thing, or that character does the wrong thing, or give it the wrong tone. Like, or like the other thing is, when is it going to come out? Are we going to have to wait like 8 years? That kind of thing. So it's more like on the sense of that, like being
Yeah.
lied to about release dates. But then you get outside the fandom and it's like it gets really vicious, like with what they talk. And then you start to realize, yep, the Stargate fandom, it's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, like, I haven't looked too much into all of that. Is there anything that kind of like stood out to you when you were seeing, some of these videos or articles where it's people that aren't labeled as Stargate fans and are talking about it? Like, what is something that you were maybe like the most surprised to see, I guess, maybe?
I mean, I'm not sure about surprise because like a lot of times you get these people that they watch it and they go, oh, it's going to be a casting of like diversity. And that's what people are like the most worried about and complain about. But I feel like then it must be somebody that never saw the original Stargate and don't know the original cast. I mean, I think someone was talking about that, but then they were referencing the original movie and it was talking about how, yeah, the original movie was like these two white guys. Like they literally said these two white guys that were like displeased with their life or something. I'm like, okay. And then it's like, but yeah, if you watch the show, I mean, I know like
Yeah.
Stargate comes from the 90s, and there are definitely some things that, like in the 90s, this probably would have been considered in a different light than it is now. And of course, there's different ways we have to look at things now than in the 90s. But I mean, I think something that was amazing in Stargate is that they had these characters that the actors were so enthusiastic about making sure also that the characters weren't tropes. So they had the writers as well as the actors being involved. And so then you get a character like Sam Carter who doesn't follow this archetype of like a typical, you put in a woman warrior that is like mean to everybody and like always like, she had this such depth to the character. And
Yeah.
so like to me, it's something that in my mind wouldn't even occur to me in an announcement. But I feel like, of course, people that are on YouTube talking about it, they have to say something that's going to get clicks.
Well, what's interesting is I feel like, too, those that are maybe not like massive fans of Stargate, maybe they've seen it a little bit or maybe not at all, and then they're talking about it. That shows that they see that it's a hot topic, and that shows that they
Yes.
see like, oh, we're going to get clicks if we put this on here. And you can kind of tell with some of them, they put titles in a way that make you think, oh, wait, what are they going to say about this? And so it's kind of clickbaity. But like the person you're talking about, like he, I think, was one of the ones that I noticed that he put like a title that made you think like, oh, like what's he going to say? But then most of what he said wasn't really having anything to do with the title, and it was just kind of talking about his memories of the Stargate movie. And I didn't really see how that pertained to anything, how
Yep.
ratings of a Stargate movie pertained to anything about whether or not the new series is going to hold up.
Exactly.
Because I
No, I
think
agree.
he had literally put, does Stargate hold up well enough for a sequel show to work? And then all he talked about was the movie and a few little things about SG1. So,
Yeah, and it's like how much has the universe expanded since the movie? Like the movie was literally one gold. Like that's it, right? One gold. It was just raw. And then it expanded to have this whole interconnected network of Stargates. And then it was like further expanded with other races. And then it was
yeah,
further expanded with an eighth chevron. And then it was further expanded with a ninth chevron. So I think at
yeah.
the point, like we can't even really talk about the movie in terms of whether the show is going to hold
Well,
up.
and also, if someone listened to the announcement, they very clearly say that they are making a show for new fans and that the new fans can watch it without having seen anything. That
Yep.
sure, if they decide through that they are curious and are interested in it, they can. And that will maybe add something to their enjoyment of it, but it's not going to be something where they're required by any means to watch 10 seasons of SG1, 5 of Atlantis, and 2 of Universe just to be able to understand what the series is about, And so it's
Exactly.
I think it brings an interesting discussion when someone's maybe talking about what they get from the movie and stuff, but I don't really see how that has anything to do with anything. It's just
Oh
kind
yeah.
of getting someone to click on your video, in my opinion.
I mean, it'd be like if somebody started talking about that when the new Doctor Who was announced in 2005, which was
Yeah.
completely, I mean, obviously was continuation of the story, but you could watch it without the old one. And obviously the vibe, something that they're producing in 2005 is very different already from something coming out 60s, 70s, 80s, just in terms of what's capable. I mean, to me, I think more interesting discussions, like when you go with that, is if you want to compare the movie or the earlier show, is oh, what kind of things maybe did they, and I've seen this discussed a little bit, but what kind of things did they maybe want to do but couldn't do because of the limitations of technology, and what kind of things could we see now that we maybe couldn't see then? And it's funny because that limitations one, I remember seeing that. And I really truly thought when it was does it hold up? I thought it was going to be a discussion about CGI.
Ah, yeah.
I thought it was going to be a discussion about technology and how they will adapt the new visual effects. Because to me,
Yeah.
this is the biggest difference between then and now when you really think about it. Because Stargate doesn't date itself in terms of being other than I mean, very obviously it came right after the Cold War, so there's certain things that you can see kind of are dating it in that way of that it is
Yeah.
90s computers, but in terms of dating itself in other ways, I feel it's kind of timeless. And so to me, that's where technology would be more of
I
a
mean, yeah. And I think one of the main concerns I've heard kind of repeated, whether it's from fans or even previous cast members and things like that, is how it's, going to go with the 10 episode kind of format.
yes.
Um, I honestly am a little I hope we get enough of the story in a similar way that we have previously. I mean, it's going to take genius genius creative abilities on all the different fronts, I think, to kind of be able to do it in a way that helps people feel like they're getting enough, I think, because I think especially with the hardcore Stargate fans, being used to watching 20 something episodes per season. And I think, you had mentioned last time when we were talking in our last video, you had mentioned how sometimes the filler episodes were some of the best
Yes,
episodes
so
and
true.
brought across things with the characters and different stuff. And who also actually, I heard, bring up a very similar point was Michael Shanks. After you had
Yes.
talked to me, and then I was watching Michael Shanks, he brought up that point, and I'm just like, see, look, Alyssa, you're talking just like Michael Shanks. Um, and so I think that will be a challenge for sure, but I fully trust everyone involved. I'm so excited for it. That, and Michael Shanks also brought up that there are expect growing pains, give it some leeway, I think that's one of the hardest things with shows now is that it's they expect everything to be so immediate.
Yeah.
And so, like he mentioned too, this is another thing that Michael Shanks mentioned that I agree with is that he mentioned, it takes time for cast too to kind of
Yes.
warm up to their role and I notice this all the time in shows and especially in shows that have lasted a long time and used to follow that format of 20 something episodes per season. So for example, as you know, I watch a ton of stuff and back in the day, I used to watch a show called The Goldbergs, which is kind of more like a sitcom kind of show. And I never did watch the whole thing. I watched some of it out of order, but I always really liked it. And it was weird because at the time when I used to watch it, I would watch it in a way that it was based off of what the TV was showing. It wasn't like through like a streaming service. So I wouldn't always get the episodes in order. So sometimes it would go all the way back to the very first episode. And I remember getting such a different feeling from the first episode with the characters to the
Oh yeah.
characters a few seasons in. And they had just kind of really solidified their character so much more. And their interactions, like everything just felt so different after a season or two than, you know,
Totally.
when they very first start. You're not necessarily convinced that they're those characters, but even as it just goes a little bit into season one, you're convinced, you know? And so I feel like the show is probably gonna have its pressures on people that are involved
Oh
because I
yeah.
feel like there's such high expectation. And you know, hopefully whoever's cast doesn't let that get to their head.
Oh yeah,
You
like don't
know,
read anything. I mean, I think this is something that probably, when you think about SG1, they benefited a lot from this because people, I think, found it more, they found it as the show was going along and maybe discovered it even season 3 or something. Maybe some started at the beginning, but there was
yeah,
no, as you said, there wasn't this expectation. So they get on, they watch Stargate, and then they get interested in it, and then they get hooked, and then they watch more.
yeah,
And I think with Atlantis, there's a little bit expectation, maybe, because I do remember people watching it and being like, "Oh, I don't like Atlantis. It's just, it's this and that." And so then I actually didn't watch it for a while because I was told, it's not as good. And I watched it and I loved it, and I was like, "Oh, this is amazing!" Like, and
yeah,
I feel like with Universe, people will trash Universe, but it's like there's 2 seasons of it. Imagine if like Stargate had like SG1 had ended after 2 seasons. Like some of the most amazing plot lines and amazing things happen in SG1 in the later seasons.
yeah,
Same with Atlantis too. Like there's so much that happened later on. Like imagine they only had 2 seasons in Universe. That's it. Two
yeah,
seasons. And so I think it's like it's super unfair because I do feel probably at this point that there were enough people that knew of it and there were enough hype. It probably, people watch it, they have the expectation, they watch the one episode and go, okay, this is not like Stargate SG1, and then they turn it off and
yeah,
miss out basically.
yeah. I mean, I do feel like a massive benefit for this show is that there is, you know, the strong fan base. And so I do feel like there's probably, of course, going to be a certain percentage of people that are going to talk crap about it when it first comes out. But at the same time, then they're still talking, right? They're talking
Yes.
about it. And I feel like there's going to be a ton of people also in support of it. And again, that will get them talking. So the more people keep talking about it, the more it's discussed on you know, different Facebook and Instagram and different things, that it also reaches out to people that maybe don't know about it yet and then are interested in watching it. I mean, I think I've also only seen like one person complain so far about the fact that they would have to buy a subscription to see it. Um, and like someone mentioned, that's how everything is now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. And so, like, you know, you can't expect it to be on something that's free, you know, most of the time. And
But anyways, like wasn't originally like was Stargate really on a broadcast channel? I thought it was on a cable channel to begin with.
I I don't know. I think it probably was cable, right?
So then people would have had to pay for it in the past anyways,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like I mean you have to pay to cable, so it's just a difference of like
Yeah.
I think it's just a different model.
And I mean, hey, with Prime, you also get the benefit of free delivery when you purchase stuff. So
Hey, do
it's
you have an
like,
affiliate link or something?
because if you think about it, Netflix keeps going up on their subscription, unless you pay for the version that's the cheapest, which has like adverts and stuff in it. A lot of them have started doing that where it's like they've went so high in their subscription cost. It was initially like maybe like £8, then it gradually was £10, then it went up to $17.99, and then eventually like you can put it down lower if you like are okay with like there being like adverts and stuff throughout. But if you think about it, like with Netflix and stuff, you don't get to purchase anything on their site and get free shipping and next day shipping. So that's the benefit of Prime. Like that's why I have it. Like that's why I have it. Like I don't actually watch anything on Prime Video. So now I'm excited that I can actually use that feature.
But honestly, like let's be real, whatever it's streamed on, I would actually pay for that. Like I don't have any
Yeah.
streaming, but like there are some shows that if they come out, then I would pay for the streaming. It's just usually I find like the things I want aren't anyways on the streaming. It was a really long time before like Stargate was on the streaming, and there's a very few other shows that I actually will watch or have an interest in watching, and they just were never on the streaming.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me to watch Stargate now, I bought like the subscription for Now TV. And prior to that, I did MGM Plus, and then they took Stargate off, and then I had to find it again and found Now TV. And so like that was solely just so I could watch Stargate. So, yeah, I'm totally fine with that. Like I understand not everyone can always afford it. But
well, I think it's a personal preference, probably whether you want to own it or not. Like people like, I mean, to me, I'm more of like I prefer owning the things, and so I mean that means like physically you can buy DVDs. I mean, obviously nowadays if you have DVDs, people usually put it into digital format to watch it anyways, but you can collect the DVDs anyways. People make a point to collect DVDs, but I mean, I bought some Stargate on iTunes. Like, so you can actually buy it. And to me, I always like, it was never on a streaming. So I would prefer just kind of like owning it because then it never goes away. But then also, yeah, there's the storage issue. You have to have places to store it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I think like you can, and this is not me doing a plug for Amazon, I swear. But like when you buy things on Amazon too, like if you purchase like a movie instead of renting it, I think it just saves on your Amazon account. So you don't need storage for that. But you always have access to it by going to your account, I think. But yeah, I mean, I've never like owned any of Stargate. Sure, that'd be cool. I just think it was just like how I ended up watching it. Like I've always just like, I think at one point you had shared some of it with me for me to be able to watch it, or I'd watched off of the DVDs way when I first started. And then now with the streaming, but yeah.
I remember having the like fat DVDs of Stargate, and then the thin ones came out and I had to buy those too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I remember it's like the other day I had this really vague memory that suddenly popped into my head of us walking through, I don't know, was it called Borders? Was that like a bookstore that also sold like it had a cafe in it, and it also sold like DVDs and CDs and everything like that. And I have this really vague memory of us walking through Borders trying to find Stargate stuff, and we were annoyed because there was like certain seasons they didn't have.
Yep.
Because I think you and your then partner at the time were like wanting to purchase it because I think you were missing like a certain season or something.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because we had like the fat ones, and then I think at some point, they get too fat. Like the old DVDs, they were super thick, and then they came out with the cool slim ones. And I remember what season it was, a season that we were looking for forever, because I know we had all of them up until 9 and 10, because 9 and 10 was still coming out at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so like 9 and 10, I purchased all on iTunes actually, because you used to be able to, like, if you wanted to watch the episode when it came out, you had to like buy it on iTunes.
Oh, wow.
So I remember always buying it on iTunes every week.
Oh my gosh. One thing I wanted to bring up that I thought was cool was when Michael Shanks was talking about Thor. And he was talking about how he thought it would be really cool to bring back Thor somehow. And then he was also talking about how, who knows, maybe it would, I guess it was like a puppet they used, right? And I guess some guy owns like the puppet, like he bought it in an auction somewhere or something,
Oh, really?
and owns it. And I guess like at some point he would Michael Shanks was somewhere with Richard Dean Anderson,
Hmm.
and they got to see the puppet again. It was like brought out for
That's so
something.
cool.
And I thought like I'm getting sidetracked here, but I thought it was really cute because he was mentioning how much Richard Dean Anderson loves that puppet.
Oh, I can imagine
And how like
though.
he
I can
was like so
imagine.
happy to see it. Um, but like anyways, he was talking about how it would be cool to kind of bring back Thor and how you could potentially even use CGI and different things, or something, different new special effect type stuff that might look really cool for Thor. Um, and so I thought that
Oh,
was kind of an interesting thought. There's certain ways that they totally could bring that back, and it would be really cool for Michael Shanks to be the voice. I would love that.
I would
That'd be
love that
so
too.
cool.
I would love that too. And I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility because I know they got the ship and the Asgard core, and theoretically the Asgard are all dead, right? I know that's theoretically the case.
Mhm.
That would be one of the easier things and less annoying things to retcon because all you could like you could easily say, well, they were somewhere else, or it
Yeah,
was some other thing, or something else happened, or there was some other like time dilation effect, or something they did when they did the weird time dilation caused something. So I think that is like, in terms of retconning things, that's probably one of the few things where I think you could retcon it and
yeah.
it wouldn't like cause a problem. And I don't think anybody would be mad. Like I don't think anyone would be pressed. Like it's a cool plot device that they got Asgard core. And I think in that sense, like maybe that will help them have technology between now and then.
Yeah, it's totally possible. I think that would be amazing. Another thing I think could be really cool, and I just thought of this, was like has nothing to do with what you were just saying, but like I was just thinking how like, because today is tech is that we're filming is Thanksgiving in the US. And then that got me thinking about the episode, was it the final episode of SG1 where you see them all around the
Yes,
table,
during
like,
Christmas. Yep.
yeah, during Christmas. And so it got me thinking, oh, well, holidays, like, wouldn't it be cool if they had like special holiday episodes that were maybe just like standalone like holiday specials. Remember like
Yes.
back in the day they used to do that with shows where they
Yep.
would have like standalone holiday specials that really didn't have much to do with what was going on in the story, but it was like a special holiday thing that everyone got excited to see. Like
Totally,
that
totally.
would be so cool. Like say for example they do the 10 episode thing, but then they had like maybe two like special holiday episodes, or maybe one was involving Christmas or the other one was involving, I don't know, some other holiday, like, I don't know, something else, but like,
Halloween.
yeah, Halloween, and have just some sort of like interesting storyline. Like that could be really fun and something kind of like special and unique to like add to it all.
That would be actually really cool. I think we kind of like touched on that once when we talked about the unending episode. Like we talked about holiday specials and Stargate. And I know part of it is maybe, not wanting to mark time, but it's also maybe now it's a bit different and the way it would come out, it would make sense.
Yeah.
Depending on the circumstance. You could also like do it by like integrating some kind of holiday themed planet or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Planet where it's always Christmas.
Oh, that would be cool. That would be so cool. Like if everything was just and like there was like some like weird like leader of the world where he was like Santa Claus.
That would be amazing.
And then
That would
there
be
was
really
like the evil one of the planet that was off in a cave, like Krampus or whatever you call it.
Krampus. Yeah. I mean, literally, you could just look at like all these traditions, like from probably Scandinavian, Germanic countries, and probably everywhere where they have these traditions of like where you have the Santa and then, like the Krampus or whatever. That could be really
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Totally, totally.
Yeah. So is there anything we didn't that we haven't covered that you wanted to go over, or have we kind of went through it all?
That's a good. I mean, was there anything else that stuck out to you as you were kind of looking through even fan theories or anything?
Hmm. Not that I can think of. I mean, I think like I've noticed a lot of people commenting a lot of the same stuff, like in
Yeah.
posts, like where they're saying stuff like, a lot of people want it to not have too much like personal relationships that are like sexually based shown on screen. Um,
Yeah.
they were saying how like a lot of people seem to be like on the same mindset of like being okay with there being like intimate relationships, but they don't really want like the sex scenes and stuff like that. Um, uh, so a lot of people were mentioning how they liked how it was like on SG1, where it's like there was an indication, but that wasn't like the main focus. You know, clearly like they all have their personal lives, but it's not like the main focus of the show. The main focus of the show is like the other stuff that they're doing. So like a lot of people seemed to mention that. And kind of be in agreement with that because I just felt like it didn't really fit. I think that was one of the complaints of SGU,
Mhm.
when that kind of initially kind of shocked everyone's eyeballs to have some of that for
Oh yeah.
their series.
Yeah.
Granted, then you get used to it and it's not a big deal. But I think at first, if especially if you're going from Atlantis and then straight into that, it's like you're like, whoa, what's happening?
Well, I think it's like a weird thing where you, on the one hand, you don't want something that feels like gratuitous or superfluous. So you don't want like, I mean, when to
Whoa,
me,
I
like,
have no idea what that means.
like gratuitous is like, it's there for the purpose of being there, like
Okay.
to give extra so that people have something visually, like it's gratuitous. It's, like you get the, like, to me, like a good sex scene in a movie is like, you don't really recognize that that's happening because it flows so, like to me, when you go, oh, there's a sex scene and you actually think that, then to me, it's a little bit
Right. That makes
gratuitous
sense.
because
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like it should be there. I think they actually did this really well, I think, with how they did a lot of like the like small little love interests, like with Sam on SG1, where it was like usually a plot point or something happened, and she kind of had a lot of these sort of interests and sparks that didn't really, at least on screen, go anywhere. I mean, who knows where they went off screen? But and I think that the main thing is it's fine if it happens off screen. There are a lot of shows that I feel like once the characters start like getting in relationships and then that becomes the focus, it just like destroys the show because like
Yeah.
then you just don't, you know.
Yeah. Then that's all it is. And then it's all about, you know, basically then it's all about like, oh, well, will they get together? Will they not get together? Then they finally get together. Then something awful happens to break them up. And then it's all about them being so heartbroken because they've been broken up. And it's just kind of like boring, you know, like,
Exactly.
especially if it's not that kind of show. If it's a show that makes sense to always have that in the storyline, then sure. But like, there's a lot more exciting things than that. And
I
we
mean,
all
think about,
deal with that enough in our own
oh
lives.
yeah. And right, but like think about how when you think about this, like actually think about this deeply, how insane like Carter's relationship with Martufus, because it's not like, oh, they met and they had a spark. It's like she housed his lifelong mate in her body, had their feelings imprinted on her. Okay. And he was housed with, a mate that was mating with also him, and his symbiote were mating with Jolinar and Jolinar's symbiote. Jolinar's symbiote was in Carter. So he has this inexplicable attraction to Carter. Like they have feelings for each other that isn't even necessary. Like it's the most, like when you think about depth, like it is like insane depth of, oh my God, complicated feelings. Like,
Yes, so complicated. I mean, I think at one point he does act like his feelings are specifically for Carter, like later on.
yes.
But yeah, that's I would not like that. That would just feel like very like intrusive, like to suddenly just like have all these feelings for someone because like you have all it's just like and then to make it worse, like with Carter, like having to see like certain memories too. And like when Joe Lenara had to be with that gross man that was in that like pits of hell place.
Yeah.
Oh, that was really hard to watch. That was gross. Like, So yeah, but you're right. So it's like there's things like that like are brought into the storyline that make sense, are interesting. It doesn't go
Yeah.
too far. So I think that's how it will be with this next one. I think they've kind of learned probably from SGU what like some people did and didn't like, and not that they're basing it off of that, but
Mhm.
like I would imagine they wouldn't go too far with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I mean, I think I trust there's so many people involved with the originals that they will kind of keep to the, and I think also SGU kind of called for that a little bit more
Yeah.
because of the circumstance. And so unless
Yeah.
they're making another series where people are trapped in a ship, I can't imagine that being the
Yeah.
focus.
And I mean, yeah, like I've said with Stargate Universe, like I actually really love Stargate Universe. When I first started rewatching it, I wasn't as much into it, but then halfway through, I got really into it. So then it all kind of makes sense and feels comfortable. It doesn't feel like anything feels strange with any of that. I think it's just about getting used to it. It's the growing pains that Shanks was talking about.
Yeah, see, and like if they had like 3 or 4 seasons, like we probably would people would like love this character intricacies. And then they go back and they watch the first episode and they'd be like, wait, what? Like Scott was with her, but then she ended up turning up to do this, and then this weird thing happened, and then like so,
Yeah.
but now it's like you kind of like it's more like you go, oh man, Scott was with her, and then he like hooked up with that other girl right away.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, what was it? There was also one other interesting thing that a point was brought up that I never thought of. Has nothing to do with that, but it has to do with the fact of the Stargate writers that did the movie got brought on to this series, that someone had brought across a point, and I can't remember which video this was, but I know you'll have them all linked below. It may have been from one of the lives from Dial the Gate and GateWorld is my guess, because that's mostly what I've watched. But someone that was talking had brought up about how maybe they were brought on because they may end up doing some sort of thing that is like a movie or other content based off of the series, which I thought was a really interesting point to bring across because I never would have thought of that.
yeah,
So like it could be interesting, like um if that's why they're also on there, or maybe it's just to be involved to kind of tie everything together really nicely. But like at the same time, like that could be really interesting if they're also planning on doing other types of content that are involved with that series
totally,
that then get brought
totally.
out later on. That could be really cool. I mean,
Oh,
I
totally.
personally have always loved the series, all of the series, way more than any of the movies. I don't know what it is, but I've just always loved the series way better. I get more into it and I enjoy it more. So I personally don't want a movie, but that's not to say that I wouldn't like a movie if they did it. So
Yeah, but I have to say, like something that is very tragic that I just saw, like I think because so much of this Delegate has now been on my feed. One came on from like a long time ago, and it was really sad because I clicked on it and they were talking like, oh, and now the third movie is going to be coming out like soon, and I'm like,
oh,
and I don't, but maybe they were talking about, I don't know, no, no, they were talking about an actual, because they said, oh, this and Continuum has come out, and now there's like a third thing. Maybe they were talking about the Atlantis movie, but I know the Atlantis movie got shelved, and it's just really depressing, like hearing that going, oh, but then you go, okay, at least I heard it at a time when there's more Stargate coming, so we've
yeah.
we've pulled out of the dark times. The
Yes,
dark
it's
days
so
are
like
over.
yeah, it's kind of like funny but sad how traumatized Stargate fans are with like the hope of a show. I mean, some people are still online saying, "Oh, I'm not going to get excited about it. You just never know. It just might not happen." And everyone's like, "But no, it was like an official announcement with like Amazon. Like it's like an official video, like it's happening." And like people are like, "Is this still happening?
Yep.
I won't believe it."
Yep.
So it's kind
But
of
it is
funny.
happening. It is
Yeah.
happening. So, and yeah, and we also are very grateful to everybody that put out content. I mean, even the people putting out the clickbait content, you're growing the fan base.
Yeah.
So I'm even grateful for the people putting out the clickbait content, trashing it, because all you're doing is it helps more people become aware of Stargate. So to me, that's a positive.
All of
so it's all
the
positive.
and all of the Stargate videos that are actually talking about actual facts with it all too, like, you know, as that information comes out, will also maybe show more because of the algorithm, like showing that people are clicking on different, I don't know how it works, but I would guess that it would maybe show up more for them people that if they do see something that's kind of like crapping on it, then they might then see a video that kind of explains things more. So
yeah, and then they get to see, like, you know, then you just go down like the whole wormhole. Oh no, did I say wormhole? You go through the Stargate. It's rabbit hole. It's rabbit hole, right? Not wormhole.
You're right. It felt so normal to
say wormhole.
It felt so normal to hear you say wormhole, so I didn't really second guess it until you started like questioning yourself, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's not wormhole, is it now?
It's down the rabbit hole. I don't know why I said wormhole. That was so weird. Bloopers. Anyways, everyone tell us in the comments what you love about all of the media that you've heard about Stargate. If there were some like theories or cool things that we didn't mention or didn't see, please let us know, because we want to check it out. We like checking out stuff. And if you are a new random person that's never heard about Stargate before, and you stumbled on this video because you're also getting inundated with Stargate media, then I'm just here to say that I hope you do get a chance to check out the show and all the world surrounding it, because it's an amazing whole universe.